donkey of Christ. The master is in need of it. A call to serve the church as Christ did. Welcome to the story of Reverend Father Bethuel Mwaura. Reverend Father Bethuel Mwaura was born in Mariashoni Forest Station in the year 1955. He was second born to the late Dedan Mwaura Muhia and the late Lea Wanjiku Miri. His siblings are the late Michael Muhia, Anne Wangari, Elizabeth Wamboi, James Njoroge, Susan Wangoi, Joseph Kinuthia, the late Jane Wanjiru, and Benjamin Ngandu. At 10 years, Father Mwaura was enrolled to Teret Primary School, and he sat for his certificate of primary education in the year 1970, but did not do so well. He had to repeat at Baharini Primary School in Nakuru town, where he sat for the certificate of primary education in the year 1971 and passed well. After the primary education, Father Mwaura was admitted for secondary education at Menengai High School. While in high school, Father Mwaura made a private vow to God that if he does so well, he will devote his life to God. Father learned about priesthood while interacting with the young Christian students in the school. Father Michael McCarthy, who was the teacher in the school, taught him catechism. Father Mwaura was then baptized in the Easter of 1975 by Father Edward Lola, who was the parish priest of Holy Rosary Parish in Nakuru. He would later receive confirmation by the late Bishop Ndingi Mwana Anzeki. In the year 1976, Father Mwaura called Father McCarthy to tell him that he wanted to be a priest. Father McCarthy made an appointment with the bishop.
I just finished high school in 1975, and immediately I was employed by Sahi and Bami Company. While I was in the office, I met a seminarian who came to visit me in the office. He was my schoolmate, and he informed me that those who were wishing to enter seminary, time had gone and I was late. So immediately I called Father McCarthy to book an appointment with him. Little did I know that he had asked the bishop that I see the bishop. So I went to meet the bishop. It was my first encounter face to face with the bishop, Dingi by then. And the first question he asked me was, young man, he was very fond of calling people young man or something like that. So he asked me, are you really interested in the seminary? If you are late, because the students have reported, but I have already written to your rector that you'll be reporting a bit late. So when do you want to go? That's the question he asked me. And I told him that I have to resign and hand over the keys of the office because I was all alone in the office. And the head office was in Nairobi. So I called my boss, Mr. Sahi, and I informed him that I am late to join a college. Because he was an Indian, I didn't use the word seminary, I used the college. So I told him that I have handed the keys to, I'll hand the keys to Kamere and Kitani advocates. So he said it's okay, but I was thinking of transferring it to Nairobi. I said, I'm sorry, because now I can't. And that's how I met the bishop, and that's how It took me one day to organize myself to leave, so I had no time to say goodbye to anybody. I remember the day I went to the bus station. We met with Father McCarthy there. He escorted me, and he asked me, "How much money do you have in your pocket?" I said, "Absolutely nothing." That's how naive one can be when the vocation is very high. So he reached his pocket and gave me 30 shillings. Sounds so little at this time, but it was enough. And because of my size, the conductor asked me 10 bob from Joro to Bungoma. So I paid 10 bob. So I had a balance of 20 shillings when I arrived in the seminary. I reported on that first, I guess it was around May. And I went to St. Augustine. Philosophy studies takes 2 years. And I remember after 4 months, I came back home very happy that now my dream has come true. Little did I know that my cousin, whom I had met at the bus stop, had informed my father that I have gone to the seminary. He didn't take it so well. And he's tried to change my mind, but I could not, because I said this is what I want to be. He could not understand because my parents, both of them were PCA. They were attending PCA church. They were Protestants as such. So he told me that if I don't change my mind, I have to go away. So for 1.5 years, I stayed away from home with friends in Nakuru. Those who were either some of my classmates, others workmates. And time came to report back to the seminary, and I went back to the seminary. Meanwhile, the Christian community, the Catholic community, and the leaders of the church tried to persuade my father and to inform him, to educate him, trying to tell him what a priest is, what a Catholic priest meant. And he softened. So we were reconciled after 1.5 years.
He went for his theological studies at St. Thomas Aquinas from the year 1978 to the year 1982. During the long holidays, he would request the vocations director to send him to his home village, as he narrates.
After reconciliation is when, because we used to be sent out for, as it is even today, I guess, for seminarians to go and do pastor work in various parishes. And I thought it would be better for me to remain at home. I asked Father McCarthy, who was my teacher as well, my parish priest, and who taught me catechism, whether I would stay at home during holidays to be teaching catechism to the people in the village and conducting Ibada bila Padre on Sundays. My vision was like to show the people that being a priest or training to be a priest at that time, it wasn't all that bad. And I thought like actions speak louder than words. So my presence in the village and people seeing me in the village would at least, bring more light to what I was embracing. I was about to embrace to become a priest. That's why I asked Father to give me permission to do pastoral work in my home village.
On the 6th day of November 1981, he was ordained as a deacon at St. Thomas of Aquinas Seminary, together with the late Reverend Cornelius Arap Korir. As a deacon, he was posted to Kipchimchim Parish in Kericho Diocese for his pastoral work. Deacon Mwaura was ordained a priest on October 30th, 1982 at St. Charles Lwanganjoro Parish by two bishops. Bishop Raphael Ndingi Mwana Anzeki being the presiding bishop and Bishop Ryan from Dublin Archdiocese assisting. His first parish to be appointed was St. Augustine's Bahati Parish as an assistant priest to Father Bernard Cunningham. Being his first appointment, he got the experience of people's sense of community and their sacrifices for each other. After 1 year, he was transferred to Christ the King Cathedral. In 1984, Father Mwaura was sent back to Bahati as a parish priest. His first curate was a Kiltigan or St. Patrick's priest, Father John McManus.
I was born in Bahati, Bahati Parish, St. Augustine, in a village called Kenrumu. It was a forest, a bigger forest called Bahati Forest, but Kenrumu was the village. And that's where I first met Father Bethuel Mwaura. And he came to Bahati as an assistant priest, and the parish priest was the late Reverend Father Bernard Cunningham. And I saw Father Bethuel when I was in secondary school that time, and he was very good, a very good priest. And one thing that I vividly remember about him is his preaching. He was a very good preacher. We used to congregate in the parish, all the Christians, the whole parish, and his preaching was very touching. He had the content, he had the touch of what he was talking about, and that touched me a lot. The confidence he had in preaching and also in his apostolate. He would come to a village to bless houses and also to visit the sick and also the old. One thing at that particular time I remember is that he was very strict with the time and also strict with the discipline, in matters discipline of the church. Father Bethuel was in Bahati twice. The first time he was there as the assistant priest. Then he came as the parish priest. And when he came, that's the time I joined the seminary. That was 1988. And he's the one who gave me the recommendation to go to the seminary. And I still remember the wordings, what he wrote about me. I remember the words, he's a very polite boy. I was very young that time. No? And I remember I could go to the parish because I had to hustle for school fees. And I remember one time, it was very cold, and I didn't have anything to cover myself in matters of a pullover. And he gave me a pullover, a very nice pullover, and he told me to stay with it. That is one thing I know about Father Bethuel, very generous, and he can give you anything.
On 15th March 1986, Father Mwaura's mother went to be with the Lord.
It was a very trying moment for me because the greatest support I had was my mother, because she had a very cool personality, you know, and a prayerful woman. And I believe it's because of her prayers that have made me to become a priest. Because at one moment when they were arguing with my father about not allowing me to go to the seminary, she reminded my father that when they were young, before they got children, they had prayed that if God grants them children, they would offer one to the service of the Lord. And now that I chose to become a Catholic priest, she told my father, I think this is the best thing that he has chosen. And my father said, No, but in the PCA church, there are pastors. But my mother said, but he didn't want to become a pastor, he wanted to become a priest. So why don't we honor our pledge which we made to God? So I would say that my mother was very supportive. Unfortunately, she was diagnosed with cancer, and it only lasted 15 days because it was in the last stage. So there were those 15 days. I remember it's only one day that I was not able to go to Nyayo wards to see her. So on the day that she died at 3 in the morning. And because I was staying in the hospital with her, she died in my arms. So it was a very painful moment and very sorrowful to me to lose a mother. Although I was old enough, but losing a mother is painful.
In 1989, Father Mwaura was sent to America to do mission appeals while preparing to go for further studies in Rome.
So after I joined the seminary, he went to the US for studies, which is America. And before he left, he came to St. Mary's Major Seminary to bid us farewell. We were 5 of us who had joined the seminary from Bahati Parish. There was Joseph Mushiri, there was Francis Ngogi, there was Joseph Mushero, there was Kiru, and myself. And he came and called us, and he told us, I'm leaving to the US for studies. And I remember also the words, the final words that he told us. He told us, young man, you have started the journey to priesthood, but remember, if the vocation is yours, you are going to stay. If the vocation belongs to your parents, know that you will not stay. And he also said, do not count what your classmates are going to do for 50 years, or even 40 years. Those who are not going to join the seminary or become priests. Because at the end of the day, you'll find yourself, you're far much ahead in so many areas. That motivated me, and I saw that I was not wasting my time to become a priest.
However, the Rome trip never materialized. He stayed in the USA for 3 years. There, he served at Our Lady of Mercy Parish in upstate New York in Rochester Diocese as a parochial administrator. He also studied at Mary Knoll School of Theology, New York. He graduated in May 1990 with a master's degree in theology. After studies in the USA, Father Mwaura was appointed parish priest of Christ the King Cathedral in Nakuru and served there for 4 years. On 9th February 1984, he was posted to St. Joseph's Minor Seminary as a rector and as a visiting lecturer at St. Mary's Major Seminary in Molo, where he taught for 1 year. After teaching, he was sent to St. Simon and Jude Longonot Parish as a parish priest, where he worked for 3 years. Between the years 1998 and 2002, Father Mwaura served as parish priest at St. John Subukia Parish. He was later appointed as a parish priest at St. Paul's Wanyororo, where he ministered for 5 years, starting 2002 to 2007. In the year 2007, he was sent to St. Peter's Elbagon Parish as an assistant priest and served there for 1 year. On 12th May 2008, Father Mwaura was sent to St. Anthony DCK Parish as a parish priest. He served there until January 2010, when he was appointed as a chaplain and teacher of Loreto Nakuru Boys High School. At this time, he used to reside at the old bishop's house He served in the school until February of the year 2012, when he was posted to St. Charles Lwanganjoro Parish. This is his home parish, and by God's grace, his journey started in Njoro, and it is here that he has served the longest.
Father Bethuel upande wa huduma ni father ambaye ako very active kwa upande wa masaa kuhudumia wagonjwa. Ukimuita kwako kama kuna misa, kama kuna jambo linahusu kiimani ama muombe mawaidha, kwa huduma kwa Wakristo wote amekuwa very active. Ni vile tu utamchukulia naye ni mwanadamu.
Evidently, Father Mwaura loves being a priest and serving the people of God.
Father ana mafundisho mazuri sana, ingie pale kwa misa. Kuna vile amepanga sermon yake vizuri sana, ambao spiritual na human itaingiana vizuri sana. Na wakati mwingine ninampa misa, ninampa katex, namwambia Father, ulifundisha vizuri sana.
As a donkey of Christ, he is always ready to say yes and follow God's will. In the Bible, the number 40 signifies a long period of testing and trials. Father Mwaura's 40 years has not been any different. He has had so many challenges and lessons which can influence a Christian's life positively. Priesthood is a call to embrace the humility of Jesus Christ in recognition that peace with God does not come by our striving but through surrender. Jesus modeled willing surrender to accomplish the will of the Father through the qualities clearly described in the characteristics of a donkey, which include hard work, fortitude, dedication, faith, responsibility, offering service, intelligence, versatility, speaking up, being heard, and standing on your ground.
There are two incidents that I'd like to mention also. I was in secondary school in town. I schooled in Nakuru town, and I was at the bookshop one time. I had been sent away for school fees, and Father Bethuel found me there. And he was very strict on me, very hard on me. And he told me, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be at school." And I explained to him, and he told me, "Go back to school, come and see me afterwards." So I went back to school, and when we closed, I went to the parish. And he asked me, "What is your problem?" And I explained to him. And he contributed to my schooling in secondary school because he was, apart from my parents assisting me with paying school fees, he also assisted me a lot with paying my school fees. And I will never forget that. He's part of those people who played a role in my becoming who I am academically, apart from the spiritual life. The other thing that I'd like to mention is that in 2012, I had a challenge 10 years ago in matters of addiction and all that. And I remember we met at Lanet House with Father Bethuel. And in fact, he came purposely to see me. He was going for mission appeal in America. And we sat and he told me, "Father Idari, go back to the junction and see where you lost the bearing." Just like, and he quoted his Prophet Isaiah, "Go back and see where did I lose the bearing, and then start from there." I'll never forget those words. Then I had different challenges, and every time I called wherever he was, he came. I remember my car got stalled in the highway near St. Mary's Cross. I called Father Bethuel, and he came from Joro, took me to Lanet House, and we called the mechanic. Those are some of the incidents that I'll never forget, that you call him and he comes. But I want to repeat that Father Bethuel can give you anything, according to me, whatever you ask, and he's not attached. I remember I could go to his room and I say, I want to go and read this book. What is it? He's not attached. So that is a quality that I want to emphasize. Detachment. He's not detached to other things. That is one thing that I like about him.
It is these qualities that Father Mwaura has been embracing by the grace of God, and thus being able to achieve a lot in the 40 years of service.
And I thank God because I've enjoyed good health, that I'm able to go around the parish, meet the people, and except now the old people that I knew have been called by the Lord, but I'm still very happy because I've made new friends in this parish. So I would like to thank all the people and appreciate everybody who has come in contact with me and assisted me either materially, spiritually, or in any way. So I'm very, very, very grateful to everybody that I have worked with. And maybe the parting point would be for anybody that because of either bad example, or anything bad that I've done, or anything unkind thing that I've done to them, I ask for forgiveness. And to know that anything that I do, it emanates from the love of God. And you know, Jesus has said very clearly that whatever you did to the little one of man, you did it to me. And St. John also adds that you cannot say that, you cannot claim that you love God whom you have not seen and not love the person whom you see. So whenever I look at the face of the people, even sometimes, I say, now I see the face of Jesus in this person.
We may not be able to pay Father Mwaura for his great service, but we pray that God may crown him so that we may continue to celebrate victory and glory of our Lord Jesus Christ through his gifts and fruits of priesthood.
Tunamtakia kila na mema, kila raheri wakati anasherehekea miaka 40, na ni neema zake Mungu. Ni watu wengine hata tunakuwa tulinda ama walimu ama nani, miaka michache hivi pengine hata amelemewa, ametoka ama ameshindwa ama ugonjwa umemshika, si ndio? Lakini sasa tunasema tunashukuru Mungu sababu amfikisha hapo na aendelee kumhifadhi.
Sisi tuko pamoja naye Father. Vyovyote unataka tutakusaidia hata sisi, lakini kwa sababu nawe umetusaidia katika kiroho, nawe Mungu atakubariki.
Mimi namuombea maisha mazuri, Mungu ambariki, na niseme ya kwamba amefanya kazi nzuri.
I like to tell Father Bethuel, and I always tell him that I wish him well, and I wish him to stay many years in this world, because when we see him, we get inspired. He's ahead of us, and many other older priests are ahead of us. When I see Father Bethuel, I feel inspired, and I always tell him, and I will tell him now, that if he remembers 1997, is a statement I told him, that I was told by my bishop, His Grace Peter Cairo, that there are priests ahead of you like Father Bethuel Mwaura. So that word, ahead of you, like Father Bethuel Mwaura, I will tell him to soldier on and to know that he has so many people who are praying for him, and people who are looking after him, even some are not born because their parents are there, and the young people are there, and they'll be saying, if you want to become a priest, you want to be a priest like Father Bethuel. So I want to tell him, to encourage him to keep on, even when things are good, when things are better, to keep on. and wish him all the best, God's blessings. And he's a mentor, he's a friend, and I'm proud of him.
Yeah.